Hey, great game on Saturday.
Yeah.
What was it you said, Terry? We're going to thrash you.
Yeah, OK. You were just lucky. We were all over you.
Huh? I think we must have been watching a different game. You hardly had a shot on target.
Apart from that one which hit the bar.
OK, apart from that. But that was only a long-range effort. They didn't really create any clear-cut chances, did they?
And what about your goal? It was miles offside.
Dream on. Just because that donkey you signed for a centre-back hasn't got any pace doesn't make everyone who gets past him offside. How much did you pay for him? 18 million? Talk about a waste of money. The guy can't even tackle.
He just needs a few games to settle in. I'd rather have him than that lot you've got. All they do is boot it up the field. There's no style about it.
That's such crap. We play some really good football. Look at Mariner. He's very underrated. He controlled the whole game. And I bet he gets paid half of what your lot earn.
I have to admit he did play well, but can he keep it up for a whole season? Basically, we had a bit of an off day and you played at the top of your game, but you still only scraped to win.
Scraped? I don't think so. All that money and you still couldn't win. What's the betting you'll end up outside the top 3 and then go bankrupt when your sugar daddy leaves you?
Dream on. We'll see who wins the title, and I think I can say with absolute certainty that your lot don't stand a chance, Lee. In fact, the likelihood is you'll get relegated.
Get out of here. We'll be pushing for a top 6 spot.
Oh, for goodness sake, can't you two just give it a rest? It's August. It's not even supposed to be the football season. Do I have to put up with this all year round now?
All right, keep your hair on. It's just a bit of friendly banter.
Banter? Is that what you call it? Shouting at each other more like? What is it about football that makes people scream at each other and start fights?
Hey, don't compare us to hooligans. It's not the same at all.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh, just because we're passionate about it.
Oh, God, that old chestnut. Listen, there are plenty of people who are passionate about sport, but A, they don't go on about it 24/7, and B, they don't go round beating each other up when they lose. You don't see tennis supporters screaming at each other, or golf supporters, or rugby or cricket fans. What is it about football? Oh, it's so tribal.
Well, it's a better game for starters.
Well, that's a matter of opinion. Personally, tennis is the only sport I really like watching.
Well, that lot are not exactly models of good behaviour, are they? Always throwing their rackets around.
That doesn't happen that often. And it doesn't transfer to the crowd either. I mean, when did you last see a tennis crowd spitting at the players or hurling racist abuse at the black players?
It's just because tennis crowds are more middle class.
That's got to be the most feeble argument I've ever heard. Quite apart from the fact that it's quite insulting to working class people, do you really think football crowds are that working class, given the prices football clubs charge these days?
No, but I bet there's just as much racism in tennis as in football, you know.
Segment 1.
Dan, this is your third Tough Mudder race. What exactly is it all about? Is it just running in muddy conditions?
Not in the slightest. In fact, mud is the least of your worries. It's more of an obstacle course over a distance of 10 to 12 miles. As you run, you come across a number of challenges such as swimming across ice baths, swinging across buttered monkey bars, and running through a field of live wires. The event was the brainchild of a British Special Forces agent who wanted an alternative to ordinary dull marathons. And I can assure you, in Tough Mudder, there's never a dull moment.
From what I gather, it's not all serious stuff, is it?
That's right. Having fun is much more important than winning. In fact, contestants would rather help each other out than fire on towards the finishing line. So there's a real sense of, we're all in this together. Also, contestants often wear ridiculously funny costumes. After the race, they even get mohawk haircuts.
Segment 2.
Gemma, you're only 15 years old, but you've been competing nationally as a gymnast for 5 years now. How did you get started?
Actually, it's 4 years now. My first national competition was when I was 11. Before that, I had only competed locally. But to answer your question, my aunt was a gymnast, and I remember admiring photos of her in action, as well as her collection of medals and trophies when I was very young. I would think to myself, that'll be me one day. Luckily, my parents agreed to sign me up for classes at my local gym, but I found them a bit boring. They just weren't challenging enough. So, my aunt agreed to be my personal coach.
What's it like having a family member as a coach?
It has its ups and downs, I suppose. It's really important for a competing gymnast to trust her coach, so I know I'm in good hands. My aunt has got my best interests at heart and knows just how far I can go. If I'm not ready to compete in an event, she won't let me. She'll put me on a realistic training program that fits in with the rest of my life.
Do you ever worry that she doesn't push you hard enough?
Not at all. She's not a soft touch. If anything, I'm the one that takes advantage of our relationship and try to wriggle my way out of the odd training session. But she never lets me stray from the path.
Segment 3.
Sport today is ridden with many ills. Doping of athletes and hooliganism are just two of the most prominent. Jack Farley is a reformed football hooligan. Jack, what made you get out?
It was after a big European match in Milan. Me and the rest of the gang caused a bit of a stir-up in the stand. Nothing too serious, throwing chairs and bottles, that kind of thing. We knew the real action would take place later outside the stadium. What we hadn't bargained for was that the Milan gang would have us trapped in the streets, and we were outnumbered by about 4-1. To cut a long story short, in the mayhem, me and my best mate Sean landed in hospital with severe injuries. That was a wake-up call for me.
But what has this kind of violence got to do with sport?
Oh, I don't know, it's a tribal thing, I suppose. It's about showing you're superior to the enemy. Once the adrenaline gets going, there's nothing that can stop you. Before Milan, I used to thrive on that feeling. Now I get more of a kick out of trying to convince those still in the game to seek help. It's funny because I'm even helping those who used to be on the other side of the fence. I know I can never make up for all the damage I've done, but I guess I've come to realise that the differences I used to think were between us are false. We're actually more alike than we think.
One. Are you game enough to skydive without a parachute?
It sounds crazy, and it probably is. Skydive from a plane or helicopter without a parachute and land safely? Impossible, I hear you cry. Not if you're wearing a wingsuit. Do you have what it takes to become the next Gary Connery? Connery was the first person to jump 730 metres from a helicopter in his specially designed suit. The 42-year-old stuntman flew for nearly a mile, reaching speeds of over 129 kilometres per hour before touching down safely on a bed of 18,600 cardboard boxes. Connery, fresh from his flight, said that it was an amazing experience. Suit designer Maria von Egedy explains that the suit slows down the person's rate of descent to about 48 kilometres an hour. Now you too can don a wingsuit. Full training is given before the jump. Only experienced skydivers will be given the go-ahead to jump. Arrange your jump by calling 555-6758 or visiting our website at www.wingsuit.com.
2. Gymnastic wheels specifications.
Wheel sizes. When deciding on a wheel, the following must be borne in mind. Wheels should be the correct size for the performer. Performers should be able to slightly bend one arm when standing upright on the footboards with both hands on inner handles. Diameter of a wheel ideally will be 35 to 40 centimetres greater than gymnast's height. On delivery, check that all necessary parts have been included. The main parts of a wheel are outer handle, inner handle, handle rung, rim, stride rung, boards, board rungs, buckles and bindings, screws and bolts. Wheel assembly. All wheels must be assembled with the utmost care to avoid accidents and injuries. The following steps must be adhered to on assembly. Assemble 4-part wheels in the correct order. Ensure that the 2 side pieces are facing the right way and that footboards are at the bottom and handles at the top. Rungs will be nearest the footboards once the side pieces have been fitted properly. Note, if side pieces have been reversed, users can incur serious injury. Check that all screws are correctly positioned and firmly tightened. Footboards are fastened down by 4 bolts, which can come loose with use. Please check and tighten these bolts at regular intervals. Maintenance work must be carried out to bindings and buckles on a regular basis. Ensure leather bindings are in good condition and have not become worn with use. Buckles must remain intact and fastened properly.
3. Fear factor success and risk in extreme sports.
Perception of risk in extreme sports varies from person to person. This study will examine what drives some people to embrace extreme risks while others are extremely safety conscious. Lester Kelly, a long-time coach and sports psychology coordinator for the US Ski and Snowboard Association, claims that not everyone has the mental makeup to excel in dangerous pursuits. Keller points out that most of us are prevented from taking extreme risks by a natural ceiling that holds us back. This, in turn, limits our ability to perform well in dangerous conditions. Others, however, have a much higher tolerance of fear and even crave risk. Psychologists believe that such people appear to possess a strong craving for adrenaline rushes and perceive thrill-seeking behaviour as a personality trait. This is a trait that extreme athletes have in common. Sports psychologist and professor at Western Connecticut State University, Shane Murphy, has carried out detailed studies of Olympians. Murphy concludes that while most people look at a risky situation and know that they would lose control in it, athletes feel confident that they wouldn't. They recognise the risk involved and do whatever they can to minimise it. It is this ability that enables them to take risks others would consider reckless. Segment 1.
So, Hannah, you've taken up underwater hockey. What's it like and are you enjoying it?
Actually, Pete, I'm loving it. I had no idea there was such a thing as underwater hockey until I moved to New Zealand and they had competitions at my local pool.
So you were a keen swimmer?
That's right. I've always really enjoyed swimming and I used to be a member of a swimming club at school and at university. I did laps every morning before breakfast. And don't forget, I was captain of the hockey team when I was in senior school.
Brilliant! But underwater hockey is a whole different ballgame.
You can say that again. The thing is, it's like hockey in that you've got a puck and the point of the game is to score goals. But you've got to do it underwater, at the bottom of a pool, wearing fins, a diving mask and snorkel, as well as a thick glove to protect your hand.
I see. So you must have to be very fit.
Yes, and you have to be able to hold your breath for a long time. In fact, I practice holding my breath every day.
Do you?
Yeah, when I'm driving, I always do it then. When I get to a red light, I hold my breath until it turns green. It's great practice.
Segment 2.
Steve, you're 17 now and you've been playing tennis since you were 3, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I don't know if it's a real memory, but they say I was obsessed from the moment my dad got me my first racket. That's what my parents say anyway.
So your dad's a tennis player too?
Yes, but he was never professional. He didn't have the opportunities I've had. He started much later, and although he was really, really good, he could never make it his whole life. He needed to go to work to earn money.
But he's your coach, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's always been my coach. Well, except for a few months. But now he's given up his job and he's my coach full time.
And isn't that quite difficult?
Well, we thought it might be a problem. My mother was a bit worried. She thought we'd be on top of each other all the time and it would be too much. But actually, that hasn't been a problem. The thing is, at the end of the day, I know Dad will always have my best interests at heart, and he knows how far he can push me and when I really need to have a break.
And I hear you've now got a fitness trainer as well.
Yes, that's Andy. He's been absolutely brilliant. I'm much stronger after just 3 months of weight training, and my serve and my backhand have improved enormously.
Well, Steve, good luck. I hope we'll see you at Wimbledon next year.
Thanks. It's what I'm working for.
Segment 3.
So, Robin, how do you feel now that you've retired from rowing?
Well, I can't say I don't miss it, because obviously it was such a huge part of my life for so long. Well over 30 years.
Yes, you started rowing at school, then university, and then 3 Olympic Games.
Yes, a long time. In fact, I can hardly remember not having to get up at the crack of dawn and start the day with fitness training, or straight onto the river as the sun is rising.
So how many hours a day were you training?
Well, it depended, of course. Before an important race, it would be 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. But there were times when it would ease off, and we'd train for 4 hours. Sometimes just in the gym, you know.
But it's the river you love, isn't it? You're famous for saying the River Thames was the love of your life.
Don't remind me. What a silly thing to say the week before your wedding. My wife has never let me forget it.
But on a more serious note, you've campaigned tirelessly to clean up our waterways and protect wildlife along our rivers.
Well, I am very proud of my Clean River campaign, I have to admit.
What about your gold medals? Surely they are your greatest achievements.
Well, I'm glad to have them. It was a great journey, but I would like to be remembered for my campaign, really.
One. How was the tennis?
Good.
Who won?
Mina, but it was pretty close.
Really?
Don't sound so surprised.
No, sorry. I just thought you said she was really good.
She is. I mean, she's not exactly Steffi Graf, but, you know.
Steffi who?
She was... Oh dear, am I showing my age?
Don't worry, I won't tell. So, what was the score?
6-4, 6-1, I think.
Oh, right. Very close.
No, honestly, it was. Kind of. We actually had some pretty long rallies. I even had a couple of shots down the line.
Look at you.
Seriously, I was very proud. Shame my serving was utterly rubbish towards the end.
The coaching sessions are paying off then?
No, they definitely are. Let's just say there's still room for improvement. And Mina's just a bit fitter and stronger than me.
Well, that's because you're so ancient and she's so young.
Yes, well, there is that. Good job I don't look it.
Well, that's true. 2.
Hiya, how's it going?
Yeah, all right. Is there enough water in the kettle for me too?
Yeah, should be.
So how are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Have you been away?
I was back in Spain.
Oh, cool. Was that seeing family?
Kind of. But actually, the main reason I went was for this big swim. Didn't you sponsor me?
Did I? Remind me again?
It was a 6K swim from the coast to this island.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, a memory like a sieve. So, how did it go?
Well, I just about made it.
Sounds bad.
It was tough. And I got cramp.
You're joking. I've had that playing football and I was just clutching my leg in agony.
Yeah, it was horrible.
But how does that work when you're in the water?
There were some support boats that brought me water and I just kind of floated on my back.
Still.
Yeah, horrible. But I managed to get over it.
Well done.
I shouldn't have set off so fast because we got diverted because, how do you say, a swarm of jellyfish?
You are kidding.
No. We maybe did an extra kilometer.
Wow.
It was about 30 degrees too. I was fading so badly by the end.
Hey, I wouldn't have even managed to get off the beach. So, how much do I owe you?
£20.
20? That's a bit much. You only did 7K in 30-degree heat round swarms of jellyfish.
You forgot the swim back.
What? You...
No.
3. Did you catch the game last night? I had to work.
Yeah, it was incredible. Well, for a neutral, anyway. I'm not sure how you'd have felt.
2-2 away. It sounds crazy.
Hey, Arsenal were lucky to draw. Honestly, it could have been about 5-0 after the first 20 minutes. The Arsenal keeper made some great saves, and Manu managed to kick the ball over the bar from about a metre out. Honestly, my granny could have scored it.
Manu, he's so overrated. There's no way he's worth 60 million or however much he cost us. He's rubbish.
You're right. He is totally useless, which is why he scored 2 fantastic goals after that.
Okay, he is good, just not that good.
No, I do know what you mean. And actually, for his first goal, the Arsenal keeper messed up badly.
Right. So how did they manage to get back in the game then?
Well, they made some substitutions and brought on Wallace, who made a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah, really. He scored a great goal which got the whole team going. Then he won them a very dubious penalty and got a Bayern defender sent off.
It wasn't a penalty then?
Well, let's put it this way. If he touched him at all, it certainly wasn't enough to send him crashing to the ground like he'd been shot. Anyway, it was an amazing game, ridiculously open, even after Bayern went down to 10 men.
Yeah, we'll thrash them in the home game.
Probably, but 2 of your defenders are suspended, and you have a couple of other people injured. And Arsenal will be the underdogs, so they won't have any pressure on them. You never know. You could still get knocked out.
By Arsenal? Not a chance.
Hello, I'm Christine Wright, and welcome to The Right Word. Following our recent podcast on dying languages, one listener sent me a link to a fascinating article about a version of Scrabble developed for the carrier language in Canada. Now, there are only around 1,000 carrier speakers left in that region, and this project is part of a campaign to try to encourage the carrier tribes to maintain their distinct language. As an avid Scrabble and Words with Friends player myself, I was obviously attracted to the idea, but I have been wondering how far this project could work and what word games and, more broadly, wordplay can do for language learners. So here to discuss this with me today, I'm joined by multilingual friends Antoine Smith and Karen Liu, both of whom speak, I think it's 5 languages?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Antoine, what do you think of the idea of Scrabble for a minority language?
Well, it's interesting, but I'm not sure how far it'll take the language. I mean, a lot of words you use playing Scrabble in English are pretty random. You know, things like zo, which are a hybrid cattle, or mu, which is a Greek letter. Not exactly the kind of thing you drop into casual conversation. I imagine that a carrier version of Scrabble would be similar. You'd end up having lots of obscure words just because they get a high score.
Yeah, but...
And in fact, it's more about maths and strategy. Apparently, one world champion didn't even speak English. He just learned the dictionary by heart.
But they won't be really playing to win, will they? That's not the point here.
What, not playing to win?
Yeah, OK, that's your over-competitiveness. But playing with language is universal, isn't it, Karen?
Absolutely, but not all cultures play in the same way. I mean, I'm guessing the carrier language has an oral tradition.
Exactly.
So maybe Scrabble isn't the best game for this language.
You took the words out of my mouth.
I mean, in Chinese, we don't do crosswords because the language is based on characters.
Of course, yeah.
Well, there are some kinds of crosswords, but with idioms and sayings.
Because each character in Chinese is like a word?
Yeah, exactly. And the two sayings will share the character where they cross. And sometimes one character has two meanings.
Yeah. Actually, I heard that puns are a big thing in Chinese.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like when someone gets married, we sometimes give the couple dates and peanuts because the characters for the words dates and peanuts are pretty much the same as the saying, may you soon give birth to a boy.
Not a girl.
No, I know, it's a bit sexist, but that's the tradition.
OK, well, let's not get into that now. Are there any other word games which might be good for practicing language?
We have another one with idioms, so I give a saying, and then you have to say another one starting with the last word or sound in my one.
Doesn't sound so easy.
No, maybe not. We also play something like taboo. You know that, right?
Yeah, where you explain a word, say library, for others to guess, without using words like book or borrow.
Exactly. That's good. We also do tongue twisters.
Oh, yeah, I like them. I learnt one in Spanish. El perro desenroca non tiene rabo porque... Oh, man, it's slipped my mind now.
And what does it mean?
The dog of San Roca doesn't have a tail because... I think it was a mouse stole it.
Not the kind of thing you drop into casual conversation.
No, that's true.
Mind you, we did a podcast recently on how you get a lot of this kind of alliteration or rhyming just in our normal choice of words. You know, like everything's shipshape or here and there. Maybe because it makes it more memorable.
Although apparently it hasn't helped me.
Well, there's always an exception that proves the rule.
Whatever. It wasn't just about learning. Doing that tongue twister was fun, like a competition with my classmates. And then it spun off into a general discussion on what we found difficult in Spanish.
Well, that's the point I was trying to make before with Scrabble. The words themselves might not be so useful, but it's all the chat that goes on around the game.
Yeah, no, you're right. I actually heard that some people on Words with Friends have got married through the app's chat feature.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I think it does prove my point, which is always a good place to call it a day.
Absolutely.
Who's competitive now?
I'd never deny it. Anyway, thanks to you both, and thanks to everyone who's listened.
Speaker 1.
If you want to be on the podium, you have to give it everything you've got. That means being physically fit. There's a lot of time in the gym and practicing out there on the circuit. Saying that, of course, it's not just my performance, but the car's that's under test. And the responsibility there is the crew's, of course. It's also a matter of experience. A lot of the new guys know that if they don't get points, their contracts won't get renewed. So they feel obliged to take ridiculous chances to get the edge. That's when you'll see them spinning out of control and taking other drivers out with them.
Speaker 2.
Most of the people coming in are older players. Sport's perfectly safe, but you've got to be careful, and they don't make allowances for their age. They think it's just a matter of me prescribing painkillers, but it takes much longer for them to get over injuries than younger players. Oh well, I have to admit to being fairly passive myself. I watch the odd game, but not so much now. It's all about the transfer fees these days. When I was young, a player was with a team for pretty much his whole career. But now the money's just too tempting. It's lost its shine for me. There's no player today who really stands out, keeps the fans on the edge of their seats.
Speaker 3.
I've been doing this job for over 20 years, and the game's changed, I can tell you. I've always had to put up with abuse from the crowd, but these days the players have a go at you too. They've played for a season, and they think they know it all. But there are very few times my decision hasn't been upheld. Since football became the #1 TV sport, egos have grown. Players are only partly in it for the game, and the rest is all about the media attention. They spend lots of time on their appearance and making sure they get their photos taken in the right clubs. Pathetic.
Speaker 4.
Well, I often work with a person for a year, sometimes longer, until they've got to the point where they can train independently. That's not to say that we don't get some who are back 6 months later, needing a bit of help sticking to the routines. That's where I come in. I never give up. Anyway, we've often got the sports channel on while people are working out, and it amazes me the range of events you can see nowadays. When I was a kid, it was fairly limited. Now it's stuff like skateboarding, windsurfing. It makes for exciting viewing, which is great. I think a lot more people are drawn to it, to sport generally.
Speaker 5.
In my day, we got the adulation of the fans, but not the earnings players do nowadays. After I got out of it, I couldn't trade on my looks or celebrity. I wish. I have to say, I wouldn't have minded that kind of money, but I've done all right for myself. One of the things I've always liked about the game is that it doesn't favour the privileged. A kid just needs to know how to kick a ball and get a bit of a lucky break. If he's spotted by a talent scout, then that's it, he's made. I think the same goes for other sports. Your natural talent and determination can open up the world.